Katie, I love you. A little bit of spice into the mix. Please, like, slow down. Again, I'm trash, I know. Hi, so it's December. Somehow I'm having a real crisis with that right now, but it's the end of the year and I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to do a wrap up of some favourites at the end of the year, so that's what I'm gonna do. I just want to say that I've said this a bunch of times, but this year was pretty much the first year I really got back into reading, so these are probably mostly books that you've already read and know about and heard people talk about a million times, so I'm sorry. But that's what I read this year. And also, these are in no particular order because I struggle with decisiveness. So it was hard enough to pick a top 10 and I didn't even really stick to that. Never mind then rank them. So just, these are in no particular order. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So, first up is a classic we all know, some of us love, I love, and that is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. The best. I love it, I love it, I love it. I know it's a little bit, people either love it or hate it. I'm firmly in the love it camp because I'm trash. But yeah, I read this in like March and it was my first fantasy, I think, of the year pretty much, and I fell in love with it. It was incredible. I won't bother explaining what it's about because I'm sure most of you know, but I love the characters, I love the romance in particular. Book 2 is exquisite. And yeah, I fell in love with all the characters, I fell in love with the story, I sobbed my little heart out multiple times. It was just incredible and absolutely one of my favourites. Another thing that I kind of got into this year was romance, and one book that my friends really all enjoyed and I hadn't read it and I was like, oh okay, maybe I should give this a go, and I was thoroughly peer pressured, so but it ended up well, so it's fine, I forgive all of you, and that is Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, which, precious, absolutely precious, incredible book about Henry, Prince of Wales, and Alex, who is the son of the President of America. They don't like each other, but like they secretly do like each other, and romance happens, and it's just incredible. I think Casey McQuiston's writing is one of my favourites. I think she writes characters incredibly well, and I fell in love so fast. I read this in record time, and I can't recommend it enough. It's like my ultimate comfort, feel-good book, and yeah, if you haven't read it, you really need to. But then also because I wanted to put it in, but I wanted to put this in too because I love this just as much, maybe even a little bit more than Red, White and Royal Blue, but it doesn't come out until next year, so I wasn't sure if it counted, but I'm putting it in anyway because my precious, precious babies, I love them both. One Last Stop, like I said, comes out next June, and it tells the story of August and Jane. Jane is trapped on a New York subway in a time loop somehow. Why? Ooh. And again, romance and incredible characters. Wonderful, brilliant. Oh, just, Katie, I love you. And I'd like to be the captain of your fan club, if at all possible. An unexpected favourite of the year was Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, because I don't read sci-fi. I don't watch sci-fi, I don't read sci-fi, I have no interest in sci-fi, but this is talked about all the time, so I was like, okay, fine, I'll give it a go. And I did not regret it at all because it was incredible. The story in this is just blew my mind. It was brilliant, and the actual book itself is just beautiful. Like, it's kind of like a mixed media thing with pictures, and it's all told through like text transcripts and stuff, and there's just something weirdly about black paper that I just love. So this was a really unexpected favourite, and I have the other two up on my shelf and I haven't read them yet, and I'm really, 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 really excited to, because for somebody who doesn't like sci-fi, this was incredible. Next up we have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, which, oh my god, we have our first heartbreaker, ladies and gents. Oh my god. I really enjoy Greek mythology a lot, and this was one that I knew I had to get to, and oh, it's just beautiful. I think Madeline Miller's writing is so stunning and just absolutely gorgeous, and I don't know, it's just great. It tells the story of Achilles and Patroclus and their relationship, and it's just, oh, it's wonderful. It's so good, and it breaks your heart, because I mean, most people know how it's gonna end, and to be honest, they kind of tell you very early on how it's gonna end, but yet it doesn't help because when the end then does come around, it just shatters you into a million pieces, but also in the best way, because the feelings I got from this book, second to none, incredible. Cannot recommend enough. Even if, as well, I think this is also really good if you're not well versed in Greek mythology, because I'm definitely not, but I don't think you need to be. I think it's all explained really well, and you don't need any prior knowledge, and I think this is just great, and everyone should read it. As I said, romance was a big part of my year, and one that I really loved was The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I love this book. It's an enemies to lovers office romance situation, and it's just so good. I don't know, I can't even really put my finger on what it is about this book in particular, because it's such a common trope and it's been done so many times, but there was something about this book that just, oh, it just did it for me, and it was just, oh, it's just so good. And there's a film coming out, and I'm scared. Lucy, if you're watching this, who is just like also the biggest Hating Game stan I know, we've just been like stalking Lucy Hale's Instagram to like look for clues, and just, we're very scared for it, and we're prepared to just forget it ever happened if it's bad. Separate it entirely and just forget. But yeah, if you're looking for an enemies to lovers situation, it's incredible. It's so good. I didn't know I was into the office romance thing. Apparently I am. It's really cute, it's steamy, it's, oh, everything I could possibly want from a romance / rom-com situation. It's incredible. I love it. So a lot of you who have followed me this year will also know that I've taken a deep dive this year into Brandon Sanderson's bibliography. An unexpected turn of events, but I adored every book of his that I've read so far. So these are, I'm not counting individual books, I'm just doing series. And I was like, oh, I can't not include them all. So first of all is Mistborn, which, it really holds like a special place in my heart now. This was the first adult fantasy, high fantasy thing that I read, and oh my god, I love it so much. So if you don't know what Mistborn is, you follow Vin, and she meets Kelsia, and the whole premise of the world is some people can use metals for magical powers, essentially, and different metals do different things, and most people can only use one metal, but some people who are Mistborn can use all the metals and do all the things, and Vin is a Mistborn. And we follow her in the first book, who meets Kelsia, who is also a Mistborn, and he kind of teaches her how to, like, you know, use her powers. And then there's also the big bad, who is the Lord Ruler, who they are trying to take down. It's kind of like a heist novel situation in the first book at the very least, where there's like a gang of people and they're all gonna break in, and, you know, like that kind of thing. I quite like a heist book, but also I feel like if you don't like a heist novel, I feel like the first book for the most part is a heist novel, but the actual world itself is just wonderful, and the characters and their relationships are just, oh, also I cried so many times. This series ruined me, and I still think about it. The lock screen on my phone is a picture from the end of the last book, and it just breaks my heart every time I open my phone. I don't know why I do it to myself, but it's just incredible. I cannot recommend it enough, particularly for a like first step into adult and high fantasy, just because I think it's all explained really well, and I never felt overwhelmed with information or anything. It was all very well explained, and everything was shown to you rather than told, and it was just very easy to understand. It's just great. You should all read it. And then after Mistborn, my next adventure into the Cosmere was Warbreaker. Warbreaker might be my favourite that I've read, maybe? I don't know. I can never decide. But anyway, Warbreaker is at the moment, a standalone in the Cosmere universe. And I think, again, if you're a little bit like iffy on starting in the adult fantasy thing, I think this is probably a good place to start, just because it's a standalone. It's not like super long. I think it's, don't quote me on that. I read it on Kindle, so I don't actually know how long it is, but I don't think it's super long. It's just so good. Again, the world is so good, particularly as well because it is just a single book. I think it's really incredible how you still get such a complete world and a complete system of magic, which is very different to the magic in Mistborn. Rather than the metals that we see in Mistborn, in Warbreaker, the magic involves breaths and uses colour, and yeah, it's just really good. I'm really bad at explaining these things because I also find myself giving spoilers a lot of the time. In this book, the main characters are Ciri and Vivenna, who are sisters, and one of them is supposed to go and get married to the God King, who is, the most powerful person. Vivenna is supposed to go marry him. But then something happens at the start of the book, and Ciri actually ends up going to be sent to marry him, and she's never been trained to do this, and she doesn't really know what she's doing. And then Vivenna finds out, and she's like, I'm gonna go save my sister. And Vivenna is a badass. I love Vivenna. The other character we have is Vasha, who is just a grumpy old man, who I also love. And then my favourite character is the sword, Nightblood. Nightblood is the best character in anything I've ever read. I love him so much. And he's a sword, but he's a sword who's been built to destroy evil. He has, like, a voice, and he can speak to you in your brain, and it's just... I feel like you really need to read it to understand what I'm saying. But he's really cute, but also really powerful and scary. But, like, he's kind of childlike, which probably adds to the scary factor, but I love him. And yeah, I just think everyone should read Warbreaker. I think, again, a great introduction to adult fantasy if you're looking. And I'd recommend it to everyone. So good. Finally, in my Sanderson, just gushing about Sanderson section, we have the Stormlight Archive, obviously, right there. On my shelf right now, I only have The Way of Kings and Rhythm of War, because I've got the other two coming for Christmas. But yeah, I've started collecting the American hardcovers because I love them. Okay, so that was a lot of effort. This book is heavy. The Stormlight Archive. Where do I start? I was always very scared of starting this, even after I started getting into Sanderson's work. I was scared of this because, like, I mean, look at the size of the books. Like, that's like the size of my head, practically. But I'm so glad I did. I pretty much binge read all of these in November to catch up for this, and I read them all, like, consecutively, including novellas in between. Absolutely incredible. And I think this is definitely not a beginner series for the Cosmere, I don't think, because especially now, because so this takes place in the same universe as Warbreaker and Mistborn, but on a different planet. But in this series in particular, you see everything kind of connect, and this is kind of like the overarching series in the universe. And I feel like at this point, if you want to read the Stormlight Archive, you kind of need to start reading the other ones too, because things are starting to link and things are starting to add up from other worlds that you need to kind of know about. I don't think you need to, but for maximum enjoyment, I feel like you should, because every time I see something to link, I'm like, ah, oh my god, there's like a little spark of joy. But yeah, this is an incredible series. So I don't know where to begin to describe this because it's big, but in this world, the magic is revolved around Stormlight. So we had metals in Mistborn, we had colour and breaths and things in Warbreaker, and then in this we have Stormlight, which is a light that you get in like little gems from a storm that comes around. Some people can use the Stormlight to do magical things, and different people can do different things, and I really just don't, there's nothing I can really say. I don't know how to explain it, I'm so bad at this. But there's so many main characters. Also, if I say anyone's name wrong, which I know I for sure will, because of course I will, please don't judge me. So we have, in the first book at least, we have Kaladin, who's been sold as a slave. We find out about his backstory and like how he got to where he is, and in the first book. And he finds himself in this war camp as a member of a bridge team. So they carry these massive, huge bridges, and it's the worst form of torture. Like, people die all the time, and like, it's a very grim place to be. And then we also have Shallan, who is trying to, her family is kind of falling apart, and she's trying to undercover steal something to try and help her family out. And then we also have Dalinar, who is a high prince who is kind of leading this war camp pretty much. And yeah, there's nothing really I can say. Also, there's a lot I'm trying not to say because obviously I'm so far into the series now that like I'm trying to remember what exactly happens in the first book that like you wouldn't, that like isn't something that happens in like book 3 that I forgot didn't happen earlier on. I don't know, but this world is just vast, is the only way I can describe it. It's a massive world, it's very intense, there's a lot going on, and I think, I don't know, I know a lot of people who I'm friends with may not enjoy it just because the book's really big. They're quite slow paced up until a certain point in each book where everything starts going to crap, but like 2/3 of the way into each book, and then it's just like, please, like, slow down. Like, you have this like slow burn for 2/3 of the book, and then all of a sudden, bam, you're hit with chaos, and I love that personally. But yeah, I think again, really, 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 really massive world, but explained so well, and the development is just perfect, and the pacing, so like you're never overwhelmed with information apart from when the chaos kicks in, but it's never in a bad way. And you just, yeah, I think Sanderson is just probably my favourite author now at this point. I think the way he writes is incredible, the speed at which he writes is incredible, and the characters are just so good. I think there's a lot of discussion of mental health in these books, which I really appreciate, because I didn't expect that to be a big part of a series like this, but it is. Mental health is massive in this, which I love, and I think it's discussed really well and respectfully and realistically. You know, there's depression is talked about, addiction is talked about, grief, there's personality disorders, but I think everything is covered really well, and I really think Sanderson just is really good at that, and I really commend him for tackling those issues personally, and the friendships and relationships between characters. That's just so good, so good. I love it so much. I love it, and each book just gets better, and it's just oh, I'm so excited for the rest. And also this one in particular ruined me. My heart broke. If you've read it, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but oh my god, yeah. So the Stormlight Archive, aka my new baby, and I already want to reread it, but the books are so big, but I already want to reread. As I said, romance was a big part of my year, and one of the first romances I read, and is probably one of my favourite books of all time at this point, is Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. Again, I'm trash, I know, but this book is everything to me. I love this book so much. I think it's not for everyone. I'll point that out. If you're not into dark romance, bully romance, those kinds of things, give this a miss. It's quite intense at times, but I really like it. I just, the whole aesthetic and everything is just perfect. I love it. So this book it tells the story of Misha and Ryan, who have been pen pals for years after a school project, but they've never seen each other or met each other, despite the fact that they live in neighbouring towns. One of them then sees the other one and knows who they are, but doesn't tell the other person that they know who they are, and then moves to their school and ghosts the other person and is angry at who the person really is, and stuff happens. It's a kind of friends to enemies to lovers situation, which I really like because I love enemies to lovers, and I just think this adds another little bit of spice into the mix. I love it. I cannot recommend this book enough. If you're looking for kind of new adult, darker, more intense romance, I think just generally Penelope Douglas will have you covered. I am a Penelope Douglas stan. I love every book she puts out pretty much, so yeah, this one is a fave for sure. I think finally in my top 10 is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which again was super unexpected. I read this for a video and it was like super hyped, and obviously everyone knows it, everyone's read it, but I had not, and I did, and oh my god, changed my life. I don't really read kind of historical fiction, so this was an unexpected favourite for sure, and it tells the story of Evelyn Hugo, who is a kind of like an old school Hollywood icon, bombshell kind of person. It's told in kind of like an interview format of kind of like a biography of her life, and goes through her 7 husbands and like what happened in each of her relationships, and it again covers a lot of difficult topics that a lot of people are afraid to talk about and are talked about in this book, and I really enjoyed that, and the LGBT representation is great. I just love this book so much. It's honestly, even if you're a little bit like on the fence about the actual genre and the way the book is told, I think you should give her a go, because I didn't expect to like it and I really, really, really enjoyed it. And now I can't wait to read Daisy Jones and the Six, because I have that too and I haven't read it yet. But I'm excited if it's anything like Evelyn Hugo. And then finally my honourable mentions, because I couldn't not put them in, but they didn't quite get into my top 10, I don't think, but these are my honourable mentions, and those are The Folk of the Air trilogy by Holly Black, wonderful, incredible, fantasy, YA, Cardan, I Love You, and Enemies to Lovers, badass, female protagonist, and soft boy prince who is mean at first, but he's a softie on the inside, and I really, really enjoyed that series. And this is the newest novella from Cardan's POV. Not my favourite, but absolutely beautiful, because, again, illustrations, just, yeah. Heartstopper, but also Radio Silence by Alice Oseman, because I think those are both also incredible. Heartstopper is just fluffy goodness in a graphic novel format, which, again, I had never read a graphic novel before this, and I love it. Great, wonderful, everyone should read it. And then Radio Silence, which is a novel. Oh, I've never felt more seen in my life than when I read Radio Silence, and I just feel like everyone should read it. If I'd read Radio Silence as a teenager, I think it would have helped me a lot. So it, again, special place in my heart. Highly recommend checking her out. In romance, we also have Take a Hint, Dani Brown, which, oh, so good, and I can't wait to read Actor Age Eve Brown, because oh, I can't wait. But Take a Hint, Dani Brown is great. Friends to lovers situation, and a fun fake dating thing, and she's so good, so good. And finally is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, which, incredible. Again, enemies to lovers, because it's just my thing. It's just, I'm trash for enemies to lovers, and they are, for some really stupid reason, I have to admit, the setup is really stupid, but the actual book is really good. The setup is like, oh, for some reason my sister can't go on her honeymoon, so like we should go even though we hate each other. That'd be fun, right? It's really dumb, but the actual book is incredible, so highly recommend that one too. Hi, it's editing me kind of cheating, because last night I finished The Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand. It changed my life. Honestly, like, a really great Christmassy read. It's a retelling of A Christmas Carol, but it's YA, and romancy, and it was so cute. And Sammy, if you're watching, thank you for recommending it to me. Yeah, I had to put that in because I literally finished it last night, but I filmed this video like 3 days ago and I was like, no, I need to put it in. So if you're looking for a Christmassy read, this is a great one. It's super cute. I cried. It is great, honest to God. I can't recommend it enough. It's a new Christmas staple. But also, I forgot a couple of other ones that I just wanted to chuck in at the end. I wanted to throw in Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, unexpected, ghosty favourite that I really, really, really enjoyed, and Devil's Night by Penelope Douglas, which, I don't know how I forgot that. One of my favourite romance series. Great. Very, very great. And I need to go finish editing now, so bye. That's pretty much it for my 2020 favourites. I'm sorry they're probably super basic. I'm super basic, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed this anyway, and if any of these are your favourites, please let me know and talk to me about them. If you have any other favourites, please let me know, because I need more books to read. I have so many, but like, and if I don't make any other videos before Christmas, then I hope you have a nice Christmas. I hope you have the best New Year, and hopefully 2021 will be a little better. But yeah, so thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!